So when it comes to meditation, here's the thing that most people get wrong. They think it's about relaxing, which is part of it. They might think it's about connecting to the universe or allowing messages to come through, accessing their intuition, and all of that is part of it and relevant. But the main thing, the way that meditation really benefits you, is that it helps you become aware of what you're thinking. Meditation is not about stopping thought or suppressing it, heaven forbid. It's about becoming aware of your thoughts, because a thought that you keep on thinking, a habitual thought pattern, becomes a belief. A belief becomes your reality. And so you really want to make sure your beliefs are serving you, because if you don't like your external circumstances, then you have to go back and examine your beliefs. But you're really not going to know what your beliefs are until you know what your thoughts are. So for example, let's say, because everybody has this internal voice that's chattering away, and most of us we're just like not, it's just like on autopilot, right? So if your internal voice is like beating you up and constantly berating you, then eventually that becomes a belief that you are unworthy, or you are a failure, or that you have to hustle really hard and fight for every good thing in your life because it won't come to you naturally. And this voice is there not to get the better of you, but for you to eventually learn to recognize it, shine a light on it, and then question it and overcome it, really. So that is the purpose of meditation, all right? You get really quiet. I recommend sitting in a chair. Why? Because your nervous system is your electrical system. And by having your feet flat on the floor, you are grounding your energy. And by sitting on the chair, you are telling your subconscious that you're supported. And by having your spine straight, that is like creating a clean channel for the energy to come down. So that's what that's about. I know there's many different methods. People sit like Indian style. Maybe that's not politically correct. But that's my preferred method. All right, fine. Arms at your sides. You don't want anything crossed. You don't want to cross your wires, so to speak. So then you relax, you take some deep breaths. There's a certain method of breathing where you breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, and then exhale for like 6 to 8 counts. And the reason for that is by exhaling for longer than you inhale, that triggers the vagus nerve, which is connected to relaxation. So that's very important. You really want to get into that alpha brainwave state. But meditation is not about making anything happen. It's about noticing. So when the thoughts, it can be helpful to imagine the sky, and the way the clouds move across the sky, those are your thoughts. Or to imagine like an ocean, or not even an ocean, like a lake, a still, calm, placid lake. And when thoughts bubble up to the surface, you just release them. You just let them go. And what this is actually doing is decluttering your mind, the way you would declutter a closet or your house. Now, if you've ever had a closet that was stuffed with junk and you didn't declutter it because you just didn't want to face it, you didn't want to look at all those things, maybe some of them had yucky memories attached to them, maybe you felt overwhelmed about making the decisions, what should I keep, what should I donate? Spoiler alert, let it all go. Donate all of it, put it in the garbage, thank it for its service to you, and then release it. Unless it sparks joy. Marie Kondo fan here. But once the closet is clean, oh my gosh, I hired these professional organizers to come into my house a couple months ago. Like, I just felt really behind with the high holidays, and I just couldn't catch up on my own. So these ladies came in, and the energy of the entire house shifted. Like, my house didn't look so bad. Like, I was almost like, do I really need them? But I knew the energy was stagnant, and I knew I needed help. And I am telling you, just like, even the way they arranged my makeup table for me, it just felt so good. And that's on the outside. Imagine doing that to your brain, okay? So, okay, where was I? Okay, so that's what it is. When you become aware of a thought, and you don't fight it, you don't argue with it, you don't, try to shove it down, you just release it. That is like clearing out those internal closets. And it's just like with feng shui, before you can before you can call anything new into your life, you have to get rid of the old first, right? You have to make space for it because nature abhors a vacuum. So sometimes with relationships, what you see people do is they are in an unhealthy relationship, but they're kind of like, one foot in, one foot out. They're afraid to be alone, or they're afraid to, the devil you don't know is scarier than the devil you do know, that kind of thing. So they have some extracurricular activity going on the side, and they kind of like set up an escape plan for themselves before they leave the first relationship. And I'm not judging anybody. We are all human, and whatever. We are prone to human foibles, but energetically, that doesn't work, right? It's like your closet is still a mess, but you try to shove something new in there that you don't really have space for, and it kind of just becomes part of the mess. It doesn't kind of become part of the mess, it does. And you can't really appreciate it because you've still got this headspace or closet space being taken up by old stuff. So life is really about taking action and taking risks. Like the saying goes, we think we need to feel better in order to get moving, but we have to get moving in order to feel better. And that is really how we build our confidence and build our trust in whatever higher power you answer to, in certainty in that power, because we take a risk and we survive, and we take another risk and we survive. And even if it doesn't go our way, what we think is our way, first of all, that's an opportunity. That's a blessing, because then we have the opportunity to be the cause, the creators of our own mental, emotional state. What do I mean by that? So if something doesn't go our way, rather than reacting and making that circumstance the reason we're upset, we can say, what? And by the way, I'm not talking about suppressing feelings. That is not healthy. What I'm saying is, you have your normal reaction. Okay, I'm disappointed. But then you shift it. You pause, right? And you're like, okay, this I don't understand. You inject certainty. You say, I don't understand why this is happening, but I trust that everything's happening for me, not to me, for me and through me, right? Because we are all channels. We are channels for other people, and sometimes we are, the creator uses us as an instrument in somebody else's story. And unfortunately, if we are not conscious, if we're not aware, we could be used as an instrument for something not so great, right? Like what's that saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So God forbid, let's say somebody has a drinking problem, and because they aren't standing for a healthy lifestyle, I guess, and there's somebody else out there who merits to be in a car accident for whatever reason, that's part of their process, that drunk driver can be used by the universe as the conduit for that judgment against the other person. But who really wants to be a conduit for damage, right? Because it's like when we pray for other people or bless other people, as the blessing is moving through us to that other person, it blesses us on the way there. So it's the same way, like if you're wishing harm on a person. What's that saying? Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It's the same principle. If you're resenting someone, wishing harm on them, that resentment, as it goes, it's to them, which if they don't, look, I don't want to talk about the other person, I just want to talk about us. It harms us on its way through, right? Like, I'm a big fan of Kevin Trudeau. I was listening to one of his episodes the other day, and he spoke about how he went to this wellness retreat, and he thought it was like a spa, like facials and massages, but it was apparently a health retreat, and like everybody out there had cancer, and it was like some sort of natural healing, like raw foods and herbs. And he said that everybody there was like, had this perfect diet, this perfect alkaline diet, but they were all really, really sick. And as he started to question them, he found out that, hang on, the cups, do the noodles, 1/3 cheese mixture over the noodles, okay, fine. He realized that everybody there had some kind of unresolved trauma that they couldn't let go of. It might have been a divorce, it might have been their son was killed in a car accident. It might have been whatever. And they could not, or would not, let go of the pain, the anger, the resentment. And I have heard this before, that no matter what vitamin supplements you're taking and, exercise routine, you could like colonics, you could engage in every health practice imaginable. But if you still have dark knots in your energetic field, we call them klipot in the vernacular of Kabbalah, if you still have those, the energy, like nothing else can get in. It's sort of like if you're in a panic state, no good ideas, no inspiration can get in. That's why remaining in alpha state is so important, which is part of, okay, so we do the cheese mixture and then we do another cup of sauce, can come in, right? Like another thing Kevin Trudeau talks about is the beta state, like beta brainwaves being like the poverty state, so to speak, and the slave state, because you're basically in this ongoing low level worry, fear, panic, got to do, hustle and grind, but you can't create from that state. Like, have you ever noticed that somebody who's really chilled out, it seems like they don't even try that hard, like good things just kind of like naturally come to them, and it's infuriating because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm over here like killing myself, and they just like, barely lifted a finger and everything worked out for them. But that's why, because they are aligned with the frequency of the universe, of the creator. So think about it this way. If we know, and we do, that God is good, that the universe is good, that the creator is good, whatever moniker you want to put on it, and it's the nature of good to do good, then everything that happens must be good, even though from our level, from our perspective, depending on our unique personal vessel, we might not perceive it that way. Okay, so then we put the noodles, 1/3 cheese, okay, fine. Then how do we tap into that force? Well, spiritually, there's a law that says that which is like unto itself is drawn. Okay, so in the physical world, we say that two things are close if they are like in proximity to each other, like this seasoning and the cheese are close, right? However, they're also not similar. They're not alike. In the energetic, quantum, subatomic, spiritual realm, things that are drawn to each other are similar. So this is the law of attraction, okay? That's why when you start having a thought about, a certain topic, if it's negative, all of a sudden you're like attracting more negative thoughts, right? You look for a problem, seek and ye shall find. If you're looking for problems, you will find problems. If you're looking for solutions, you will find solutions, okay? If you're looking for opportunities, you will find opportunities. Take some practice though, right? Because if you're like have a lot of thought momentum going in a certain direction, then it can take a minute to turn that around. Our brain does not make big jumps. Okay, fine. So basically what we want to do is we want to be like God. We want to emulate the aspects of the creator. So how do we do that? And what are the aspects of the creator? Well, one is the creator is whole. It has no need, it has no lack. He is androgynous, it has male and female aspects. Is at peace, right? Right? So we have to achieve that. We have to achieve being at peace. And we cannot rely on external circumstances to bring us that peace, right? Like God is God, no matter what humanity is doing. God is just God. God is not affected by what we do, okay? We are affected by what we do and think and feel. That's like the God-like power that we have. So, so we have to ask ourselves, okay, if God is like the most loving parent in the world, which includes setting boundaries, right? We discipline our kids because we love them. We teach them not to run out into a busy road because we want to protect them. God is the same way, right? When something doesn't go our way, it's protection, okay? Like, let's say somebody is, I always use these recovery examples. I don't know why, just because they're so dramatic, but let's say somebody has some unhealed wounds regarding, like, let's say they've been cheated on. So they're super nervous about getting into a new relationship because, like, they're always going to be thinking it's going to happen again, like wanting to check that person's phone and just not really ever able to relax and trust, which, okay, fine. So let's leave it at that. But they also have desire to meet their soulmate, but they're not meeting their soulmate. Okay. They're not like having any luck in the dating field. That is protection. Rejection is protection, because if they did meet their soulmate while they're still in this like wounded state, they would just sabotage the relationship anyways. Or like let's say somebody's like actively has a drinking problem and they're like, oh, I just want to meet the right man. Well, you really don't, because you're going to meet somebody, first of all, who's at your level. And you definitely don't want two people with drinking problems together. Or, they're going to have some other kind of addiction that they're enslaved to. And the whole thing is just going to be a mess. That's why they say you really got to work on yourself first. I can repeat 1/3 cheese, 1/3 sauce. Okay, fine. Before you, like, two halves don't make a whole. Two wholes make a whole. You really have to be whole. And another one of my favorite gurus, David Guillaume, says it's very dangerous to leave the house if you're feeling any lack, because you're just going to attract more of that lack, right? And like, who wants that? Or you're going to attract other people who feel lack. Like, the best self-defense is to be 100% confident, because predators they also feel a lack, which they try to fulfill by victimizing others. And the women that they are drawn to are those who also feel lack. Oh my gosh, this isn't right. I have like way too much cheese left. 1 cup, okay. Noodles, 3 cup noodles, last 1/3 of cheese, 1 cup sauce. No, there's way too much cheese left. I only have 1. Okay, fine. It's gonna be fine. I don't even mess it up, right? Oh, wait. 1/3 cheese, 1 cup sauce. No. Noodles, remaining sauce. Okay, fine. This is what we're doing. It's gonna be great. I have full confidence. Oh, and did I put this? I didn't put this in, did I? See, that's what happens when you try to. Did I put it in? I don't even know. It's gonna be very cheesy. Oh, I think you did. It's gonna be a very cheesy lasagna. Okay. So like I was saying, self-defense. So a predator, he seeks to control by controlling others, right? That's how he fills his lack. Because a whole happy, healthy person obviously would not be out there like trying to victimize others. And a victim, unfortunately, also looks to external sources for her feeling of fulfillment. Like when I was a cop, I cannot tell you how much the following pattern just repeated itself. Some young girl has a bad day, loses her job, fight with her mom, whatever. Her boyfriend, very often the boyfriend was like unavailable, right? So what does she do? She ends up calling some guy who's like into her, who's going to show her attention because she wants the attention. They go out to the bar, they get drunk. One thing leads to another. She doesn't want the sexual encounter, but she is either too drunk to say no or doesn't have the confidence to say no. And the thing happens. And then she's like, doesn't really even want to report it because she's kind of like, what am I going to say? I did what I did. But then she's feeling guilty, so she tells her boyfriend about it, and he can't handle the fact that, he might have been cheated on. So he's like, well, this is rape. You have to go report this. And it's just a big mess because she basically never verbalized, when I say young girl, we're talking about above the age of majority. But, she never verbalized the no for whatever reason. And yes, you cannot have sex with somebody who is too drunk to give consent, but let's be honest, two people have alcohol together. It's just not a good situation. It's not, what do you think is going to happen, right? Again, not victim blaming or shaming, just saying, it's just, you're asking for trouble. Yes, women should be able to wear whatever they want, but at the same time, if you swim in a tank of sharks and you're bleeding, like, not a politically correct channel, by the way. So, my whole point in this is she was feeling a lack, looking to fulfill it through something external, right? Some kind of circumstance, attention, alcohol, both. He clearly is, I'm not like, this is mostly a channel for women, so I'm not really going to focus too much on what he is all about. I don't want to like brush it off and say, oh, he's a man. But I mean, look, a guy who's like spiritually minded and working on himself isn't even going to be in that situation in the first place. Like, yeah, maybe he'll be there for her as a friend, but he's not going to get drunk. He's not going to try to take advantage of her. Like, it's just not going to happen. Okay. So, my question is, which oven do I want to use? Maybe I'll use this one. Preheat's a little faster. So that's what it is. So, back to meditation. What are we doing? We are becoming aware of our thoughts without trying to change anything, without trying to suppress anything, just allowing, the art of allowing, right? So we can become aware of our thoughts and gently release them, release that resistance, that blockage, so we can naturally, you don't need to do anything. That's the beauty of this, right? Like if you've ever watched Abraham Hicks, he, she, it, they are always talking about allowing. Like if you push against something by energetically pushing against it, you are creating more of it. What you resist persists. So, meditate, clean out your inner closets, let new ideas, new beliefs, invite them in. Mantras are good. Do your research. and align yourself with the attributes of the Creator. Know that you're whole. Wholeness attracts whole. That's why do they say the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Because somebody who's poor is probably always thinking they're on this repetitive loop, this frequency of, oh my God, I don't have any money. Where am I getting money? How am I going to pay the bills? The bank account's low. And they're not even aware they're doing it, okay? So they're just going to attract more circumstances that match that brainwave pattern. But the wealthy person is like, oh my gosh, I made so much money. I'm going to invest it here. I'm going to grow it here. I'm going to do this person. I can help that person. And so they're just also attracting more circumstances that match that frequency. There's a saying in Judaism that ever since the creation of the world, what has the Creator, Hashem, been doing all day long? Making matches. Now, a lot of people interpret this as making matches between man and woman, making marriages, making love matches. But really, he, I guess in this instance, he is matching frequencies in every way. Okay, I'm going to focus on cooking now. I love you. Thank you for watching. And if you found this entertaining and helpful and you want to learn more on all topics metaphysical made practical, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, thank you. Bye.